So yeah, so you're playing it free. The third time now, you realize you have fire in your hands. How does that
Yeah,
go down then? What does the crowd do? What's the
yeah. No,
reaction?
so by the third time, seeing everyone throwing their hands in the air, whatever, Joe Cosell kind of leans over to me and he kind of goes, "So what are you doing with that? That would be perfect for spiritual life." Which was and he's right because it had the Afro sound. It would be perfect for his label. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we like we could talk. I mean, we're jamming now, but yeah, later in the week I'll hit you up. And then that Monday, I get a call from Francois, and he goes, "So I hear this track you played at the club, and I'd like to hear it." So I go down to Wave Music, and I play the 6/8 drums for him, and he goes, "All right, this is what's gonna happen. I'm taking the 6/8 drums, and I think you should do an album." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, you should do an album. You and your boy Matt come up with a name, and I'll finance it." And so we were like, "Oh wow, okay." So we let Francois put out the 6/8 drums on Wave. And then he did like a body and soul edit with the delays. He did like some dubby kind of thing. And we from that 6/8 drums, we ended up doing two shows at Body and Soul. And when I mean shows, like we brought a bunch of drummers on stage. The drummers we met at Prospect Park. We brought like four of them, and then we had a bass player. We had Nadelka. We had and two other singers, a guy named Philip Alexander, and gosh, what was the girl? Something Moss, Annette Moss. So we had three singers. So
Wow,
we had like a full, almost like a full
big
band on
production.
stage. I'm sorry.
Big production.
Yeah, and I DJ'd both times. Both times that we did that, I was one of the three. So I played at Body and Soul three times.
Wow. And would you say that was the biggest gig today or the best gig? Yeah, what would you say in your illustrious career would you say was your best, maybe favorite, biggest? It's a wide question, but one that really sticks
Wow.
out for you.
There are two places. One would be Nell's. That was the place I played on Monday nights. I played there from nine. I was still living in Brooklyn. So that was maybe like 89. I think I started playing there all through till 97. So that
Wow.
was one of my longest running
And
residencies.
Nels was in Brooklyn, yeah?
No, Nell's was on 14th Street in Manhattan. It was
Oh,
like kind of like lower Manhattan, which at that time
what
was
type of club was Nels?
Nell's was like okay, so you walk in upstairs. It's kind of like a lounge. You have like these plushy couches, and then they had a small stage, and singers would come in. So they kind of had this kind of open mic vibe upstairs. So it'd be singers like that's Barbara Tucker used to promote a night on Monday nights, and the same night I DJ, and she was like she would promote the singers, like new singers that would come in, and they can come in and just perform.
Would
And
that
I was in the basement,
would that be
so
not of a let the singer be heard kind of thing where because
actually that's exactly what it
Miami,
was.
right?
That's what you just said. It was a let the singers be heard. I mean, it wasn't that, but it was.
It
It
was the
wasn't
start of it. It was where the idea was born, yeah. Because
exactly
that's a
because
big thing at Miami. Even I've been to Miami and been there and let the singer be heard, and they obviously had some serious talent. And I mean,
oh
she's
yeah,
queen now, right? Barbara Tucker is his house, yeah.
she was. And the thing is, what you got to understand. I mean, this club's open 7 nights a week, right? I'm playing on Monday night, and in New York City on a Monday, if you're going out on a Monday, that was like the artists and people in the art scene go out
Yeah.
on Monday night. They don't go out Saturday night and
Kind of doing
Friday
it a
night.
day job, let's say, or a nine to
that
five.
that's for like what we call the bridge and tunnel people, like people just coming over from the bridge. They got to cross over, whether they're coming in from Brooklyn or they're coming in from Jersey. They got to cross a bridge to get to Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Monday was like the people that lived in Manhattan, the
Right.
movers and the shakers that currently live in the city. And I had just moved into the city. I think I had moved like 90 December of 91 is when I moved. So I was playing this club when I was still living in Brooklyn, and I had to take a cab into the city. And when I'd come in, I'd have to pass this building, this really big, with big, huge windows. And the cab would, make a turn and then go on to 14th Street. And every time I passed this building, I would look up and go, I'd love to live like whoever's living in that building is having a great time. I'm like, these huge windows, it's just a big loft space.
Yeah.
One day, my friend Nadine says, "Hey, I want to, because I had to move out of my house." She goes, "Well, my friend needs a roommate. So come and take a look at the apartment." So I go to look at the apartment. She goes, "Meet me on 14th Street, which is around the corner from Nell's." So I get to 14th Street and she's waiting for me. And she goes, "This is the building." And it's the building that I keep seeing when I take the cab driving in, that I would love to live there.
Yeah.
That was the building.
Okay.
So I go in, I meet the roommate, and he was paying maybe like $1,500. He couldn't do it all himself. So he needed help. So he wanted to split it between two other roommates. It was me and another girl. I was paying $500 to live in this really nice loft space on 14th Street that just happens to be around the corner from Nell's.
Wow.
So that I mean, it's like having a job that's around the corner from your house, because all I had to do is come around the corner, and
Yeah.
Nell's right on 14th Street between 8th Avenue and 7th Avenue on 14th Street.
So that
So
was
I lived in that apartment for almost 7 years. So those 7 years I lived there, I was DJing at Nell's.
and
So,
what would you said was your biggest gig or for like been, I mean, that's probably your longest running, say, residency. Where would you
and if you want to say big, like big, huge clubs, I played at a few what they call Peter Gation clubs, or Peter Gation owned clubs. And he was considered the king of New York during the 90s,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Because he owned like the hugest clubs like Palladium, um, Limelight, USA. There was another one. I'm missing one more. I just can't remember the name of it. But he owned all of these clubs. These clubs were like the level of owning a bunch of Ministry of Sounds.
Wow. And what was the, would they have been like underground house clubs or would they be a bit more mainstream?
A bit more mainstream, but they had separate rooms. So you had the house room, you had the hip hop room, you had a techno room, you know, and then
Right.
you had a room that you kind of played a little bit of everything, a little house, a little hip hop, a
Yeah.
little classics, you mixed it up. So
Yeah.
that's what I used to do. I would mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
Mostly house. The 75% would be house, and then the rest would be broken up into hip hop, reggae, and classics.
Cool. And what about tours? Did you ever get outside of the US to play?
Yes, I did, but that was kind of more on my own, because at that time, when the New Yorkers started getting booked to fly out to, like, let's say, the UK, no one was really giving up the information on how do you do that. Like, who do you talk to? How do
I
you?
was thinking more Japan because I remember you went out to Japan a few times, wasn't it?
Well, that the Japan happened because of King Street, because I did a track for King Street that I actually ended up giving to Wave. Like
Right.
I let King Street hear it first, and Hisa is the owner, the Japanese guy, and he loved it. He was like, "Yeah, I love it, I love it, I want it," right? And then Francois heard it. Now, by this time, we were already we had just now started the album, the Eternal Sun album. So
Right.
that's the name we came up with for that, which sparked from
Eternal
the
Sun.
the 6/8 drums. And it was, we went under the name Eternal Sun. So this next track, which was called, ooh, well, when we gave it to Hisa, it was called Spanish Dancer. But then we also gave the same track to Wave, but we changed the name and slightly changed the track. but it was kind of the same track. So basically, we gave Issa the track, but then Francois wanted it.
So you changed it up a bit for Francois.
So this is what happened. No, it was a small story. So Francois said, right, this will be, I'll pay you good money for it, which was more than what Hisa was willing to pay. So we kind of had to go back to Hisa and tell him, you know, that song we said we were going to give you, we're giving it to someone else. We didn't tell him it was, he said it was Wave Music. It was Francois. So he got really upset with me, like really, really upset. I won't go into the details, but to calm things over, I said, look, I'll give you another track. And if you like that one, yeah, hopefully that'll smooth things over. And what we did is we kind of gave him the same track. Right. So we went back and opened up the track again. And we just changed a few things. And we had a friend of ours that Tony, who played bass and he played guitar. So we said, man, can you just put a guitar over this? That's it. That's all he did. He came over, he put a guitar solo, and we gave him a bit of money and he left. We took that track back to Hisa and he loved it. He actually liked this track better than the first one, which was the same track. It's just that this track had a guitar in it.
Yeah.
So that's what made him really, so he signed it, and it came out on the Abstract Jazz Lounge 2, right? Because they would put these jazz lounge, very, you know, Afro-y, deep kind of flavors. And that CD, he then started a tour to promote all the artists or producers that was on that CD, and we just happened to be on it. We had 2 songs on there. We had Spanish Dancer and another song. So we got to go to Japan because of that.
Wow.
Off of that CD. And then once I went and I met another guy out there named Kaji, and he wanted to keep bringing me, but he thought I was signed to Hisa. And I said, no, I'm not. This was a one-off thing.
Yeah.
I'm not signed to anybody. And then that's what happened. He ended up bringing me every year for the next maybe 7 years.
Wow.
From I mean, the first time I went was 2002. And then when I met Kaji, he kept bringing me every year up until 2009, eight or nine. And then there was a little break. And then the last time I went to Japan was 2016. And that's the last time I've been there. So I hear the scene's changed up a little bit. So I don't know what it's looking like right now. But
you had
a good
run, right?
Japan run as far as going back and forth.
Really?
But probably more than that would be coming to the UK. Because that was since the early 90s. I was coming to the UK during the whole New York, when the whole New York house scene hit the UK, when you guys got tired of Chicago.
Okay. So let's go into that. So bringing it back round now. So we have been working together for a while. Tell the people, for those who don't know us, how did we meet? How did you meet Pat Bedeau?
Wow. Okay. So just to go back a little bit, I've been going to UK since 1994. So like I was mentioning to you earlier, when guys like, you know, Roger S., Louis, Todd Terry, those guys were the first wave of New York City producers that were getting booked to fly to the UK to play places like Ministry, Tony Humphries, guys like that. So, you know, the top New York guys that are killing it are now being flown to the UK. And like I said, at this point, I think you guys were kind of getting a little bit like, you still were into your Chicago house, but I think the New York house was kind of this new thing, because New York house just had so many different flavors. You had like the Todd Terry who gave you the sample stuff, then you had Louis who gave you that sort of like, you know, chords and jazzy things. And then you had guys like Jovan and Kerry Chandler that were more, and such as myself as Romain, we were more like the underground New York style. So you had all these different flavors coming out of New York. And I think the UK was like, yeah, we're kind of like in this New York style.
Yeah,
so all of the New York guys were getting flown. But when I speak to the New York DJs, none of them would tell me, how do you actually get booked to go to the UK? So I just found a cheap flight on Air India and I went with a friend of mine named Nadine, and just went to London. Actually, I went to a friend named Yabi who worked at Acid Jazz Records, and he had stayed at my house one summer. And he lived in Camden, and he said, if you ever want to come to the UK, you can stay at my house. I went to stay for 1 week and ended up staying a month.
Wow.
So, and during that month, I met like Sarah HB. I met all these different, I got introduced to the whole pirate radio, underground radio station kind of, which would never go on in New York City. So now I was just kind of flying myself into the UK every year. So from, I'd say 94, 95, pretty much 90, 94 till, wow, 2017, I've been going to the UK every year. So we're talking almost 20 years.
Wow.
So one of the years that I went, I ended up going to the WMC music conference. And from what I remember, I came outside of a club and people started talking about the Southport Weekender. And I believe I saw Harley and Muscle. Remember that? The Harley and Muscle
Yeah.
producer. And they were talking about going to the Southport Weekender. And then you popped out and said, you've been going to the Southport Weekender every year. And I was just like, right, I'd love to go to the Southport Weekender. And I remember you gave me your card. And I lost it. I lost your card, and I ended up running into you at the Southport Weekender online, getting ready to buy some food. I believe you were like right behind me. And I turned around and I was like, oh, wow. And then after that, I ended up staying at your place in Milton Keynes. Because I was staying in the UK at that time, I believe, the whole summer. I was there for like 3 months. So one of those months, I stayed at your place. And and we DJ'd. I think we DJ'd the Ultra Party.
It was Ultra Vegas, yeah. So what was it? It was the closing party. Who was it? It was I was out there playing with the Pex guys. Oh, and it was a closing party, and we was outside, yeah. And then we met up. You said you was going Southport Weekender. I was like, yeah, I'll go there every year. If you go in there, hit me up. You know what I mean? I'll take you around and show you about and that. And then when we met, and then I was like, hey, why don't you come down? I'm actually playing for Ultra Vegas. So we actually got you on the gig as well. We went and played Ultra Vegas. Funny enough, with Glenn Woods on the bill, who just played for us last night.
Wow!
As we
See,
played
it's
on
like
that
it's come
one.
full circle.
Yeah, and then you actually came and stayed with me, and you was like, well, if you get a Mac, if you had a Mac, we could be like tracking right now. So I'd literally gone to Miami with the first couple of tracks I'd ever made with a guy called Steve Gurley, and then you like
Oh
that track
wow, Steve
again.
Gurley.
Yeah,
That's
so it was like that, and he was like, "Well, we could be tracking if you had a Mac." And I remember we just went to the Apple store that day. Then
exactly
we just
right.
got the
No,
Mac
no,
from.
no, no. I'm trying to. There's a little spot I'm missing. Did we not also go to Liverpool? I don't know if there were two separate times, but it was another time where I was
Yeah, I
DJing
mean,
Liverpool.
you
You
had
came out,
you had
and then we
gigs in
drove
Liverpool.
back. I
Yeah,
don't know, with Charisma, I think.
that was when we went to Liverpool to see Matt Bandy. Coming back with Charisma's when we went Bristol to see Sean McCabe. Charisma
That's
was
right.
in
Wow. So those were two separate situations.
probably the same time you was over here because you had quite a few gigs that year. You was over, so we went. You had a gig in Liverpool, and I came up with you for the weekend. You was playing for St.
Right.
Street, wasn't it? And Matt
Right.
Bandy was on the bill. That's where I met Matt, who's obviously Say Son now. That's where I met him for the first time, and I think maybe where you met him as well. For
Exactly. Yeah, it was.
and
Exactly.
obviously you've been on Say Son now, so that trip was really eventful and built loads of sort of like loads of bridges and stuff. So that's how we first started getting together, and then obviously worked on many things, formed the Track Gods, did a load of demos for that as well. Again with DJ Pep.
And remember Rainy Payne? That
Yeah,
one was good too.
absolutely, and we hooked up with Rainy Payne and had her and Natasha Watts as well on
Oh, that's right. Wow.
Streetwalker track as well. So yeah, lots went on there, and then obviously come full circle, and now we're working on Bedfunk, and we did back in the day is actually, you know, collaborating in a different sort of way with you in your new form of not producer but vocalist, which has been for me a revelation, because you have this New York voice. Obviously, we're going through the life experience, and you really understand the New York underground culture. But then you've reinvented yourself now as a vocalist, which is, you know, you've had loads of great tracks. The first one probably being NY to UK, wasn't it? Was that one of the first
Yes, NY. Wow, with what was it? What was their name? I met one of them in Amsterdam last year. What is their name?
Deep City Soul, was it?
Say it again.
Deep City Soul. Deep City
Deep
Soul.
City Soul.
And then
they were in Amsterdam
remix
last year.
Blew up. Who was the who done the remix? It was an absolute banger.
A banger. Yes, I cannot remember the name.
I can't.
I will look that one up.
Great producer. I should know it. It's in my record box, and it does come out, and it's a great closing track. So yeah, so then we're sort of like full circle. Like I say, we're just about to do another couple of vocal tracks. We've got a few ideas on the go, but let's get back into all of this, because that was a nice little segue. But on the production, going back to the production front, you're known for house, but have you ever experimented with any other genres? Because obviously you've played.
Yes. So in our early days, me and Matt were doing a lot of hip hop. Especially me, because I was totally into the sample thing. So I was into sampling for house, but I was also sampling on a hip hop tip. And I was into, you know, like Tribe Called Quest, and I was into the producers, you know, Pete Rock, CL Smooth,
Yes.
Dilla, you know, Jay Dilla, all those guys. So I was kind of following their style of like chopping up beats and samples. And Todd Terry had a label called Freeze Records, which he signed some house tracks from us, but he also did hip hop on the side, also on Freeze Records. Right. And he found out that through a friend of mine told him that, hey, Romain also does these sort of jazzy beats mixed with hip hop. You should maybe take a listen to it. So Todd had me come up, and I played them all these like down tempo hip hop beats with jazz samples on top of it, and he signed it. We went under the name Mindbenders. So it was 10 tracks, and it came out on mostly it was vinyl, but it was most. This is during a time when CD was now a big thing. So they really pushed it on CD, because now you had like the Virgin Megastore and you had Tower Records, and these were all popular stores to sell CDs. So we did this Mindbenders, and then apparently Todd Terry liked it so much we did a volume 2. So we did a volume 2 Mindbenders of the same style of sort of like hip hop, which today that style would be called, I guess, chill-fi or lo-fi beats.
Yeah.
You know, where you would take like a hip hop beat, but on top it's very mellow, very smooth, very easy listening. You can drive to it. You see where you'll see like a cartoon of a raccoon with headphones on and hands in his pocket and it's raining, or the Japanese anime with the girl studying. So it's just chill, laid back music. So that's kind of what I work on actually currently when I'm not doing house music. But I released an album on Bandcamp. It's called Romain's Funky, Soulful, Chilled Vibe Volume 1. I released it in August of 2019. It didn't do much sales. Actually, the first person to buy it was Andy Warhol.
It is a wonderful album. Well done on that. I love it.
Oh, you heard it?
Yeah, I listened to it. It's a great album.
Okay. Because not so many people heard it. It didn't do too much. I put it out on Traxsource. It did nothing. And I'm going to do a volume 2 with some new beats. I've already been putting them together on the side. I don't talk too much about it because no one knows me for that style. So it's something I have 2 friends of mine that know I do hip hop beats. And I actually did an album with another friend named Kev Cruz that we're not sure when that's going to come out, but that's going to be a Bandcamp release. And it's with him rapping and me. I've done the whole album, and they're all, you know, my hip hop beats, which, you know, a bit more on the, I'd say hip hop / lo-fi.
Of course, that
style beats.
reminds me as
So
well. You used to work with a rapper as well, didn't you? Doing like that hip hop vibe. What was his name? Hype Hunnits.
High Planets,
Hype
yes.
Hunnits.
My friend DJ Smash's brother. Yeah, I had a little small time where he was trying to kind of come off like Mr. V because I
Yeah,
played some Mr. V stuff, and he was like, "Man, I can do that."
yeah.
So I think I released one song with him. It was called "Love in the Club." It came out on a German label called
Yeah,
Alma
that
Records.
was a jam actually as well. I love that jam. That was
Yeah, I think one of the guys, I don't know if it was Pete Tong, put it on his one of his lists. And I
fair.
thought, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with music. You never know where it's going to go, right? We do it for the love, right? Talking
Exactly.
about that, so tell us about your studio setup. What is your door of choice, and what do you
So
have?
so in the early days when me and Matt worked together, when I first got my first computer, which was a Mac, it was the G3 series. It was the blue and whites, I believe
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
called them. And that was my first computer because before that we didn't have a computer. We had a MMT sequence, and everyone thought we had a computer because how well we were tracking what little bit we had. So when we got the computer, that was just like taking the weights off your legs. Now we can really do what we wanted to do much quicker. And I had gotten the Logic, so I've pretty much been using Logic for almost over 20 years
Wow.
now. In 2014, I got introduced to Machine through my friend John Cutler. He actually gave me his machine because he'd gotten a new one. So he said, okay, I'll give you the machine, figure it out. At first, I didn't like it. And then I started watching some videos about it. And then I saw this video with this guy named Sharif who worked for DubSpot. So I'd actually did some work for them and wanted to know if I could take some courses. So I took some courses. I took 3 courses, got cool with the teacher, and he basically just said, come every Friday for the duration of the course, which is an 8-month course, which normally costs $1,000. I
Yeah.
didn't have to pay. I just showed up every Friday.
Wow.
So after graduating from that, I was now introduced to the world of native instruments. The thing is, I've now I use Ableton as my main door, and a lot of people are like, why did you switch? And it happened during using Machine because now I was recording on a machine and then dragging the parts into Ableton, and it has found it a much easier flow than doing it in Logic. And so now my production is Ableton. I use a complete M32 keyboard for my tracking. I use this Novation Launchpad, kind
Wow.
of new to the scene. Do a little close up there, and this allows me to record live into Ableton. So kind of like I'm going back to the original days of how I used to record, which is you just punch everything in live while you're recording. And I think the sound is a bit more organic when you do it in that style. So that's kind of what I'm using today, as opposed to but I still give props to Logic. And I mix and I master in Logic as well. So Logic is not out the scene. It's just I create in Ableton because it's just a little bit easier for me to and quicker for me to get my arrangements going, and then I just master in Logic.
Okay, talking about arrangements, what's your production process?
First thing is definitely the drums. Um, I'll either use Machine and put it at maybe like a 50% swing. And then once I get the drums, I get the drums, drag them into Ableton, or I might start the drums using Drum Rack inside of Ableton. And once the drums are laid out, then I kind of decide, is this going to be something that I'm going to sample? So am I going to go and start, grabbing maybe some classic 70s or 60 records, sample, and then kind of chop up? Or this might be a song that has original music in it. And then I might use a plugin like Scalar to help me coordinate getting the chords. And then I'll use a plugin called Easy Bass to help me bang out the bass lines. and then I just arranged the music and release it as sort of like live instrumentation. I also worked with a girl named Charlotte Funk. We've been working together, I think, since what, 2016. So we have about 50 or 60 tunes under our belt that I'm going to be releasing this year. And so some of the tracks that I'll start with music, I'll probably have her come in and put like solos and things like that, just to fill the music out and give it more of an organic feel. Because I'm not a musician, but I think I'm pretty good at coming up with chords at least. So,
Yes, definitely.
and working with singers. So one of the singers is Imori Toller. I've been working with him for a few years, and he's really a good singer. Outside of the other people I've worked with in the past, so we have a few projects coming out. We have a song right now we did called Weaker that we're not sure when that's coming out, but look out for it. That might be dropping this year.
That leads me on to another question when you're talking about projects. How many tracks would you say you've produced? Because I know from working with you, you're prolific. You know, I don't think I've ever met anyone who does so many tracks. So, I mean, how many would you say you've made in your time? Like
So
finished?
you mean that I've just made in general, or how many have been released and actually
No, made.
saw the light of day?
Maybe a two-part question: how many have been released and how many's been made? And I know the answer to being made is a hell of a lot more than the amount released. Definitely.
Exactly. Uh, Definitely in the 150, 200.
Is that releases?
No, not releases, just things that have been recorded but not really come out,
I
but
would
are
think
in,
I would
sitting
think it's a
in
bit
my
more than that.
computer, sitting on DAT files.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen the light of day. So, but stuff that's come out, oh yeah, maybe close to 80 to 100, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I think you're probably underselling yourself as well, especially in the
I, I know I don't want to
tracks
seem
that's
I
been
don't want to
made.
say more than I think it is, but
Yeah.
it might be more. But I'm going to play it safe.
We can always come back to that one, right? There's always plenty of time.
Exactly.
Okay. You've done an album. Tell us about the album. How did that come about? And that was on Quantize with our good friend DJ Spen.
Indeed. So that started with a good friend of mine named Dave Jones, or what was it, Dave 007.
Yes. And what label?
And he wanted me and him were going to do an album together. And I had already met Tony, and he worked out some studio time with Tony for me and him to go on together. And what had happened is at the last minute, Dave couldn't be involved. He had other things he had to attend to. So he just went,
Pause you
look,
there.
why don't you just do the whole thing? And I was like, whoa.
So you did an album. Tell us what that was called and a little bit about how it come about.
Oh, okay. Well, the name of the album was This Is How We Do It. It's kind of a Brooklyn slang kind of way that how we talk about that, and be a nice little title for the album. The album came about because me and my friend Dave Jones, good friend of Tony Cotomades, who owned the studio, said, "Hey, let's do an album together." And when we started the album, right in the beginning, he couldn't do the album with me. He had other engagements he had to deal with. So basically, the whole album was on me. So I had to come up with all the tunes. So I picked a couple of disco tunes and some original songs I did with some friends of mine back in Brooklyn. One singer was Nadelka Prescott. Another singer was Miss Patty. Another singer was Imori Toller. And the last singer that was on the album was JD. So we had about 4 different singers. And it was cool working with Tony because I was able to get with some of the musicians who play for real people. And also they go as a band named Delotto. So that's what they do when they're not real people doing their house thing. So it was I got to work with Mike Pato. I got to work with oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of some of the other musicians, but you know, proper musicians, all of them have played with, you know, done stuff on Incognito, done music with Tony Morell and those people. So yeah, it was good to work with some professional musicians. And Tony Cotamades had the proper studio, so it was a good combination of for the professionals coming together. And I thought the album came out pretty good.
I was just about to ask that. How did you think it come out? And what remind us what label that was on?
That was on Quantize, which is DJ Spen's label. Originally, we were going to put it on Groove Assassin's label. I'm trying to remember the name of his label.
Time to Change?
That didn't work out. Then I was going to put it on New Phase, and then that's when Spen heard one or two of the tracks, and he kind of was like begging me to let him put it out on his label. They would do a really good promotion, and I'm glad I did, because he would be able to do a bigger promotion than I would with my New Phase label. So
yeah, there
it
were
worked out.
some nice remixes that come on that as well, weren't there? I remember Sean
Yes.
McCabe and maybe Spen did one, which was really nice.
Sean McCabe, Spen, Laurent Garnier, he did a mix on
Wow.
the Nadelka. I didn't know, but sort of a bossa nova kind of vibe. You know, very breezy, very tropical kind of flavor. Original mix was straight house, but yeah, these were really good remixes.
Excellent. So, have you got any plans for another or the next album? And if you have, what from what you learned doing the first one, what would you do differently, if anything at all?
Well, I don't have an album in the works yet. I have a bunch of things that I've been working on from last year that I'm going to put together, and that will be the album. So that's kind of in the works, but I don't have a title or anything put together for that. But yeah, if I was to do it again, I'd probably have a bit more direction. Like if I could work with the musicians again, I think I'd have a better idea on how it would work with them. Because that was the first time I'd ever worked with musicians in my life, and I had to direct them and get them to play what I wanted to play. So that was 2015. It's 2023 now, so I think today, if I was to work with them again, yeah, I would think I'd have a much, much better album. I know how to direct them to exactly what I want. And yeah, I'm actually would be surprised to work with them again to hear what it would sound like.
Cool. Well, maybe you'll have to make that happen after 8 years. Maybe it's the time, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on, what is some of your biggest goals you hope to achieve over the next year, next 5 years? What are the big dreams for DJ Romain?
Well, they're not really big. They're more like to-do on the to-do list.
Right.
And one of the things on the to-do list is to release all my music, like release the last music I've working on for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, just things that I was doing before COVID, music that I was working on during COVID. I want to get all those out probably before 2024. And hopefully the music will, make a couple of waves for me in the future as far as production, DJing, traveling. That would be a nice plan to happen. So I figure this year it's all about planting the seeds with my music.
Yeah, I hear that. That's great. One of the questions I usually ask is, it's getting a bit redundant now, but as you've just mentioned it, what did you do? What got you through COVID?
Oh, working on tracks.
So COVID was good for you from the point of view of being a producer. You was getting busy, just tracking.
Definitely. I mean, everybody else, they were like ripping their hair out of their head because they were going stir crazy. Everyone was just like locked in their house, couldn't go out. They're like, man, I can't club, I can't check my friends. So, everyone was really miserable. I wasn't.
Yeah.
For me, it was like I have nowhere to go. There's no party I have to be at. You know what I mean? So I have no choice than to sit here and just work on music. And it enabled the time to go by because, there were just days where hours of just sitting here other than watching Netflix, you know, watching, you know, Amazon Prime. You know, I didn't even watch any movies. Everyone else was, you know, upping their Hulu account and their Netflix account. I was like, I'm just going to work on music. Actually, I actually turned off some of my my television shows just because I wasn't really watching it and it was
Yeah.
taking my money every month.
Absolutely. See, that's the thing. Like you say, a lot of people see the glamorous side of production, see DJ dancing to his tune in a club or what have you. But a lot of them, what they don't see is a lot of us are quite solitude, and we just sit there in our studios, as we both are now. You know, just tracking away, spending the time just really creating stuff. So for lockdown for us, it was really no difference apart from we ain't got anything to get in our way and stop us tracking, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
nice to hear that, and glad that that's been really beneficial, and you know that work's going to come out. You know the to-do list. The goal is to get that work out. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that that stuff come out. So if you wasn't a DJ or producer, what would your dream job be?
My dream job would probably be a real estate mogul, owning a lot of property and buildings. That
Yeah.
would probably be yes.
Do you have
Yeah,
a love for property or a love for money?
money.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
But I think I'm good with property. I'm good with managing through, you know, I've been doing Airbnb, so I think I would want to do it on a big scale and own buildings.
Yeah, if you got into it as early as you did the production, you'd probably be laughing now, right?
Exactly. I would have a few buildings under my
Cool.
name. And I probably wouldn't be doing Airbnb. They would just be buildings I own. I just rent them out.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, that's always a good one, and never too late to start as well on the side, isn't it? That's the good thing with production. It does give you a bit of time to delve into other things as well. Going back to production, and we've gone kind of through almost your life story. How do you stay current with what's going on, I suppose, social media, current trends in music, because obviously house music is ever evolving. How do you stay on point?
Well, I think what helps is the fact that I have my Twitch show, which makes me, you know, I'm buying music like every 2 weeks. So between buying music every 2 weeks, and then I'm on maybe about 15 or 16 different labels mail out lists. So I have to spend one afternoon literally just going through about 100 tunes and, you know, doing the feedback and everything. So in the midst of listening to all these tunes, I'm like, oh wow, I'm getting ideas, you know, getting different flavors because I like my jacking music. I like deep tech. I like Afro. So I'm listening to all these different tracks, which is giving me ideas to do different things. Secondly, I'm very up on my plugin game. So I'm constantly on YouTube listening for the latest, greatest. I listen to a lot of hip hop and R&B producer, um, young content creators because they seem to be having their finger on the pulse as far as the newest and the latest plugins that would take your prediction from, you know, dusty to great production, you know, and
Right.
with the AI plugins that allow you to do chords and come up with your own type of music without having to rely on musicians. Not that musicians are not necessary, but at least you know you can start something by yourself without having a keyboardist next to you. So those are the kind of things that are kind of helping me stay on the edge. And it's funny because I speak to a lot of other producers to see if they know about these products that I use, and a lot of them don't even know about them. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I think I try to keep my ear close to the ground as far as what's going on musically and what's going on with the, you know, plugins and the equipment, and the whole thing with AI. You know, just staying up on things. And I think that's what's going to keep me kind of like in the edge, keep my music kind of cutting edge and not stale.
Excellent. Are you still out there as well? Do you get out to clubs?
I try to go out. I don't got as much as I used to since COVID. You know, a lot of things are still, you know, we're
Yeah.
still in the recovery of clubs. But whenever someone invites me out to something, I'm there. I went out about 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine, Tyrone Solomon from Atlanta, came into town and he did a proper underground, 200 people, 12 o'clock till 10 in the morning party. I haven't been to one of those in ages. So I
Yeah.
was there, and that was a nice little education of music. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I probably go out more now than I actually DJ.
Yeah, I remember as well, we were speaking, and you just come back from the Body and Soul party as well. So
Yes, going to the Body Soul party is definitely refreshing. You listen to
yeah,
brother Joe Cosell, Danny, and Francois. Always good.
I actually saw them when they came to Ministry of Sound for Groove Odyssey as well, quite recently when Hannah Kemo was performing just
Oh,
before them, I think it was. So yeah, that was amazing. They're absolutely fantastic. So your combination of stay being out there and knowing what's going out on in the clubs, a combination of listening to what producers are coming out on a daily basis, so you're up to date with what is actually coming out, and then shopping for tunes as well, and then also
exactly.
being up on the latest tech, the latest plugins on the latest sound. So I don't think you can get more current than that. You know, every day's a
Exactly.
school day is the way that we like to rock it all the time. So I'm great you're on that. So okay, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. You know, got a right insight into New York, into yourself, into the New York underground, which is what these interviews are all about, is really to getting to know behind the music, and you know what drives you and what creates your sound. So it's great to do that. If people want to find you, how do they find you? Can you drop us your handles, or is there one place you'd like them to go? Obviously, you mentioned your show as well, so give
So
yourself a
you
little
can
plug.
hit me at my Instagram handle, which is the official DJ Romain underscore NYC. And you can hit me on Facebook as DJ Romain, my musician page. And I do a every Thursday mix, Twitch mix from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. NYC time. So I guess for anyone in the UK, that would be what, step 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It'd be like 9 o'clock, wouldn't it?
Cool, yeah. So have you got a website that has all this information as well?
I do have a website. It's a new website, so I'm trying to remember the name to be able to lock into it. It is it's called DJ Romain Gibbs. DJ Romain dot Gibbs.
Okay.
And you would be able to go onto my website. You can listen to new tracks. You can listen to a couple of the mixes. And I also will be selling t-shirts and hoodies and merch.
Wow.
So check it
Perfect.
out.
So yeah, guys, you want to get there, lock him in, Facebook, Insta, check out his stream on Twitch. You've heard the website. This is Bedfunk TV. My name's Pat Bedeau, and we have been chatting to the underground legend, Mr. DJ Romain. Thanks very much
Yes,
for your
yes.
time. We're looking out for that album and looking out for that heat you've been rocking and you've been making during lockdown. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. Yeah.
Well,
I
thank you for inviting me on the show. I appreciate it. Had a good time, man.
Pleasure, man. It's been awesome talking to you. Take care. Keep rocking it, yeah? Peace, my
Peace,
brother.
peace.
Peace.